Okay, everybody, let's move out of the Romantic period into realism. And this is the time in British history that is called the Victorian Age. You'll notice the years here, 1830 to 1901. So we're moving forward further into modern times. So what happens as we move from Romanticism to realism? The revolutions that we had talked about with Romanticism, remember the easy way to remember what Romanticism is all about is the R stands for revolution. Politics, industrial, thought, poetry, the arts, all of those revolutions continue, but Romanticism does not. So this is an interesting little puzzle that we solve. All right, so real quick, just a little snapshot of some of the different revolutions that happened throughout Europe. And the reason being is that once one country, Europe is so small, everybody's packed together there. Once one revolution happens, it's just dominoes. So during this time, it's really bad to be a royal because if you're not killed, then you're certainly going to be deposed, and you're going to have to pack up the suitcase with gold and diamonds and then run to Switzerland. So we have all of the revolutions continue to happen. The Industrial Revolution continues to happen. And when we were with Romanticism, we had talked about the belief of primitivism, that life was better in the country than in the cities. But urbanism wins. Cities continue to grow, and they spread throughout Europe. With the improvements in railroads and steamships, countries are brought closer together because it takes less time to travel from one to another. Also, thanks to the Industrial Revolution, the middle class continues to grow, which is a good thing. Why? Because it lessens the power of the upper class as well as the aristocracy. Of course, the monarchies are gone, but we still have the people at the top of the pyramid. But if the middle class is big, this is why it's so important that you have a big influential middle class, is that it limits the power of the 1% to control the 99%. Now, during this time, power is wealth, not a name. In other words, before, power was your last name. In other words, if you had the right last name, if you were born into the monarchy, you had power. But now, if you have money, you have power. So the major cities continue to grow, and the population of England explodes threefold during the Victorian Age, which is just mind-boggling. So this is when we have incredible growth of the population of England during the Victorian Age. Now, one of the influential thinkers that we pick up this is not Santa Claus, this is Karl Marx. Everybody's familiar with Karl Marx writing the Communist Manifesto, but not too many people know where he wrote it. That's right, it'll get you some extra points on Jeopardy. Karl Marx wrote and published the Communist Manifesto in London. Exactly right. He had fled to London. Now, what Karl Marx was concerned about was the growing gap between the wealthy, the 1%, and the working class because of industrialization. And Karl Marx believed that the labor force, the working classes, that the labor force was responsible for production, and the labor was being abused by the factory owners. Karl Marx preached that capitalism is a corrupt system because it allows the few to make oodles and oodles of money by stepping on the many. So this is when labor unions are born, and we have the restless working class. And it's out of the Communist Manifesto that communism is born. Wow. So all of this is happening here in England, specifically London. Social Darwinism. And Charles Darwin had nothing to do with social Darwinism. Social Darwinism took this scientific theory and then applied it to society. One of the very sad things that happened during the Victorian Age was the potato blight. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the potato blight. During this time, there was a blight, which is, I don't know if you garden. Blights happen every so often. And then the crop that is the target of the blight is essentially wiped out. And what happened in Ireland, which the primary crop in Ireland is the potato, and there was the potato blight, and almost every potato plant in Ireland died. So they lost their principal crop, and thousands and thousands and thousands of Irish starved because they didn't have enough to eat. And right across from Ireland is England. England had enough to eat, but they didn't want to help the Irish for many different reasons. One of them is that, well, gosh, if these people could get their act together, they could feed themselves, right? Natural selection. Life is a struggle. If they're unfit to pass on their genes, why should we help them? Because then we're clearly helping, people who are unfit to survive. And why should we lessen the genetic pool of human beings by allowing lesser life to be passed on into it? And this is social Darwinism, which is just awful. It goes against everything, every teaching of Christian compassion. But this happened, and just in case you're curious, in American history, this is when thousands and thousands and thousands of the Irish left Ireland to come to America because they weren't getting any help from the English during this time. I know, really, really sad. So our time limit is nearing the limit here. So we'll pick up the next slide in the next lecture. Whoops.